Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. It is 9:45 on a Thursday. I hope everyone is having a good and decent morning. This is CNN is just horrible. Let me check my sound before I get going into this. Let's see. Good sound. Bastards. That's why I check my sound. That's precisely why I check my sound. All right, good. Speakers on. So I'm on Twitter. I'm a creature of Twitter. And I see this report saying the reporter, I'm sorry, I'm stopped up. Also this morning, I'm stopped up. A reporter from CNN gets on the ground. They've been allowing people on the ground in Syria. And she gets on the ground. She's from CNN. And she's inspecting, she's talking, she's doing her thing as a reporter. She's talking about this alleged chemical attack in this odd way that I would consider to be odd way, this kind of feigned objectivity. Oh, they're just sad about the bombings. They're upset about the bombings. These refugees, these sad, poor refugees, they're upset about the bombings. They don't like what Assad did, but they don't like the bombings. This war needs to stop, and it needs to go beyond just a chemical strike. I mean, just one strike by the United States. They don't think that's going to be enough, etc., etc., etc. They're doing the CNN thing. And she gets to the hype of ridiculousness, and she takes a kid's book bag, and she's... What are you sniffing? What are you sniffing? The odorless... the odorless chemical that you believe was sprayed, that you believe that came from this chemical attack. What are you sniffing? What are you sniffing? And even if there was an odor, do you believe that it's safe for you as a reporter to sniff something that you believe came from a chemical attack? This reached the height of ridiculousness. Let's take a look at the report. I watched this and I was like, oh, this is so sad. CNN is so horrible. They're so horrible, man. This is beyond horrible. I'm persistently confronted with this thing of, are they incompetent or are they clueless? Like, are they incompetent or are they corrupt? Is it that they know and they don't say anything? Or is it they just don't know? And I honestly can't tell. I asked Jordan this yesterday. Jordan says it's a combination of both. Take a look at this and explain to me which one do you believe this woman is exhibiting? Incompetence or corruption? And when corruption in this case, I just mean they're in on it, but they're not necessarily having certain conversations with the American public that the American public need to actually have and confront. So I'll show you what I mean by this. Let's take a look at this first.
And there's definitely something that stings. That's how the kids' minds work.
She sniffed the bag and said, there's definitely something that stings. Definitely. Yep, it stings. It stings. From my experience as a reporter, this stinks. Let's see it again. And I'm going to give it to you for a larger context because I don't want you to stop right there and be like, oh my God, this is woman on to something. Let's take a look at this, and I'm going to show the original video from CNN. CNN excluded this from the clip, by the way, which I think makes it that much more awesome. I went looking for this main clip on CNN. This is not on the CNN clip. They excluded this very particular portion of their reporter. Yeah, it stings. It stings.
And there's definitely something that stings.
In her experience, it stings. It stings. Yep, it stings. Let's give her clip a little bit larger context. I don't want to gut her.
everyone who's living here in these tents right now is from the Ruta Duma area, and that is where, of course, the alleged chemical strike took place. We've been spending the better part of the day with this family. This is Nur, the two girls, the twins, and they have brought some of their stuff with them. The kids' bags still have a very acrid smell with them, and what Nur is going to show us here right now.
I want to show you the part of this. I don't want to go through the whole thing because I don't necessarily know if there's a copyright and everything else on this particular thing. But she's just talking about, you know, I've been with this family. I've been discussing this with the family and everything else. And this bag has an acrid smell on it. I smelled it earlier. I did all that. I did all of that. And it had an acrid smell to it. I think about this in a different way. I guess I started looking at the news from the standpoint of my mom. If my mom is looking at this, what is the perspective that she's getting from this particular bit of media? And there's nothing. It's like, it's devoid of content. Let's say it that way. It's giving the audience nothing. The audience get nothing from the story. Take a look at this. What they need to be talking about, again, ask the question, are they corrupt or incompetent? Are they in on it, or are they just incompetent? Are they useful idiots? Is it the situation that these organizations hire people that are purposely incompetent? Or do they hire people that have a certain point of view that in no way would allow those people to challenge the power structure that's in place? Which one is it? I honestly don't know. I'm caught by this because it feels to me that, come on, man. You have to know this. You have to know this stuff. I'm not even going to go full on it. I'm just going to show the video itself that exposes all of it. And the moment that you see the video, you have to stop and think to yourself, wait a minute. Should we be doing this? Take a look at this. I've bitched and moaned about the whole thing of us paying terrorists and everything else, and all of these other organizations that are part of it, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, many of which are our allies that are trying to take Assad out of his seat and has kept this war going for as long as this war has been going. This is not a civil war. This is not a civil war. They paint this as if it's a civil war. And they act like the airstrikes. Does this woman know that we've been intervening in this? Does this woman know that we've been keeping this war going because we want Assad out of his seat? Does she know that? Does she know that we've been supporting the terrorists in these countries? Does she know? And if she knows, why is this the conversation that she's having? Don't take my word for it. Take Tulsi's.
CNN exclusive is Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. She just returned from a secret trip to Syria. Congresswoman Gabbard, thanks for coming and sharing your story with us.
Aloha, Jake. Good to be with you.
So you were in Syria for 4 days. Did you meet with President Bashar al-Assad?
I did. You know, my reason for going to visit Syria was really because of the suffering of the Syrian people that has been weighing heavily on my heart. I wanted to see if there was, in some small way, a way that I could express the love and the aloha and the care that the American people have for the people of Syria, and to see firsthand what was happening there, to see that situation there.
What did Assad have to say?
Initially, I hadn't planned on meeting him. When the opportunity arose to meet with him, I did so because I felt it's important that if we profess to truly care about the Syrian people, about their suffering, then we've got to be able to meet with anyone that we need to if there is a possibility that we could achieve peace. And that's exactly what.
As you watch this, you have to take something into context or in your perspective as to understand why the conversation is going the way it is. Did you meet Assad? Well, I didn't intend to meet him. I went there because I wanted to show the aloha that the American people, if we profess to care about the Syrian people and the things and the trials that these people are going through, then I want to get that across to them. I want to meet them, not Assad. Yeah, but what did Assad say? What did Assad say? I care about what Assad say. Fuck the people. I care about what Assad say. Well, Assad, I mean, she's explaining this because she has to explain this because from the American context, Assad is a butcher. The only perspective that Assad has ever been gotten across from this two-dimensional perspective of he's a butcher, he's murdered all these people, etc., etc., etc. So, if he's saying, did you meet Assad, this is politically trippy for her. It's not the easiest thing for her to mix. She has to get across this thing of, I didn't intend to meet him, and I intended to meet the people, and it's just so happened that I met the person in this particular country. That's why she's stepping on eggshells when she's talking about this issue. Let's keep going. Let her finish.
What we talked about. Whatever you think about President Assad, the fact is that he is the president of Syria. In order for any peace agreement, in order for any possibility of a viable peace agreement to occur, there has to be a conversation with him. The Syrian people will determine his outcome and what happens with their government and their future. But our focus, my commitment is on ending this war that has caused so much suffering to these Syrian people, to these children, to these families, many of whom...
Notice she's dodged that twice. She's done it beautifully. I love this woman. I want her to be president. If her and Sanders was in a primary together, I would pick Tulsi Gabbard. That's how much I love Tulsi Gabbard. She's dodged that question twice because she doesn't want it to be the focus of this conversation. Let's let her keep going. She's going to drop a bombshell in a moment.
I met on this trip. It's important for us to stay focused on doing what is in their best interest and what is in our best interest and doing what it is necessary to make that happen.
So, Congressman Adam Kinzinger, a friend of yours, also a military veteran, a Republican, he said on Twitter when he heard about your visit, quote, fact-finding mission, fact, 50,000 plus dead children in Syria. Tulsi Gabbard, I hope you didn't meet with their butcher, Assad. Now, Assad has used chemical weapons on his own people. You said it's going to be up to the Syrian people, but there really aren't free and fair elections.
That's a dick move, Jake. That's a dick move, man. That's a complete dick move. If you notice, he's entered two questions into this. One, he didn't let her respond to. The second one, he's asking her now. This guy, who's also a veteran, but so I'm going to match your veteran with another veteran, said that don't meet with their butcher. Did you meet with their butcher, Tulsi? Now, I'm going to skip from that and immediately ask the question. This goes past what I am talking about in this. This is somewhat of a tangent. I'm saying that's a dick move. They're putting a pressure against her for going and doing this. What she did was right. She went to see what was taking place beyond what the media was doing because the media wasn't doing their fucking job. Let's let Tulsi finish what she's saying. Keep going, Tulsi. Do your thing, girl.
In Syria.
I'll tell you what I heard from the Syrian people that I met with, Jake, walking down the streets in Aleppo, in Damascus, hearing from them. They expressed happiness and joy at seeing an American walking through their streets, but they expressed a question. They said, why is it that the United States, its allies and other countries are providing support, are providing arms to terrorist groups like al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, Arar al-Sham, ISIS, who are on the ground there raping, kidnapping, torturing, and killing the Syrian people, children, men, women, people of all ages. They asked me, why is the United States and its allies supporting these terrorist groups who are destroying Syria when it was al-Qaeda who attacked the United States on 9/11?
That is a bombshell. That's a bombshell. What is that other reporter talking about? What is she talking about? Why is she sniffing book bags? Do you know how ridiculous that looks? I suspect CNN does know how ridiculous that looks because they didn't put it in the actual video. When I went to CNN's website to see the video itself, it wasn't there. It wasn't there for a good reason. Because it looked ridiculous. It's utterly absurd. The conversation that woman had, and I understand she speaks Arabic or whatever the language that they're speaking in that country. Good for you. You learned a different language. That's awesome. I would love to learn a different language. I've always wanted to learn Spanish, so I know that there's a certain intellect that's associated with the individual. That's accurate. That's accurate. That's accurate. It's not the conversation you need to be having. What Tulsi Gabbard just said here is the conversation that needs to be had. And by the way, just so we're clear, this is known now. This is understood now. People full well get this. It is uncontroversial now. But at the time, look at what Jake Tapper responded with. You've just been told that your country has been supporting terrorists who've been raping, pillaging, killing men, women, children, and babies. That's what she's told you. That is, at this point, known to be a flat fact. Britain and the United States. The reporter, who's supposed to be skeptical and cynical of power and government, that just learned this from somebody who was on the ground in that particular area. Look at his response.
Not Syria. I didn't have an answer for them.
Obviously, the United States government denies providing any sort of help to the terrorist groups that you're talking about. They say they provide help for the rebel groups. Tell us more.
Stuttering, could barely get the government line. The government, obviously, the government says that it doesn't do that. The government says it doesn't do that. I mean, they say they help the rebels. They say they help the rebels. The moderate rebels are just terrorists, Jake. Is Jake Tapper incompetent? Was Jake Tapper in on it? And I get the feeling that Jake Tapper is in on it, because Jake Tapper immediately, reflexively jumped to the government line in the stammering way of trying to get it out. The conversation that needs to be had is, why are we supporting terrorists in that particular part of the globe? Why is that on our agenda? Why are we in the business of regime change? That's the conversation that needs to be taking place. If you care about those babies, if you care about those kids, if you really have this, oh my God, my heart bleeds for all of these babies running around with no shoes, with these acrid book bags. If your heart really goes to those people, then that's the conversation you would be having every day on your network. Every day. Why are we supporting terrorists? Why are we supporting terrorists? Why are we supporting terrorists? Why are we in the business of regime change? Why is this on the agenda of the United States? Why are we spending money in this way? Why are we spending money in this way? Is there a better way for us to spend money? Can we be doing something else? That would be the thing that you talk about. Not this. Not sniffing book bags. CNN is fucking horrible. And the perspective, the jaded perspective that they give. CNN is horrible. I just say it that way. I'm not going to keep this one ridiculously long. But Jake Tapper, god damn it. I mean, she's sniffing a book bag. She's sniffing a goddamn book bag. This is where CNN has taken us. Sniffing book bags. The conversation you need to be having is, why have we been supporting terrorists in that part of the world? I understand that Bashar al-Assad may be a bad guy. Why are we supporting terrorists in that part of the world? That has everything to do with us. That has nothing to do with him. I care about us. I care about our actions around the world. I can't do anything about Bashar al-Assad. I care about us. Why is CNN obfuscating the actual story? And why is CNN not giving its audience an honest perspective of events? CNN is horrible. CNN is absolutely horrible. I'm not going to keep this one long. I saw this. I thought it was ridiculous. And so I wanted to flag it for my audience. CNN is absolutely, completely horrible. And just, I want to end on it, because it's too ridiculous not to end on. I understand this woman may be awesome at her job in other capacities, but this is where we are.
And there's definitely something that stings.
It stings. It does sting. It stings indeed, CNN. It stings indeed. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon. Thanks everyone. It stings.